So this lineup, this DPS lineup, was giving Spitfire a huge amount of trouble because neither of their DPS players are really competent enough on McCree to be able to make that work. Birdring was playing an okay McCree as we got later into the series on Dorado, but he wasn't good enough. He wasn't hitting the shots needed. Like, you just need constant pressure on Ding, like just hitting him over and over again. So instead, what they've done is just go for a Mei Hanzo kind of setup on this point. So generally speaking, the way that you want to play with Mei Hanzo is normally if you're playing against a comp that just rushes you on the floor, then you want to set up your Orisa kind of here. You have your Hog and maybe your Mei up on the high ground. You have your Batiste over here. You have, well, it would normally be like a Zen up in this window, but I suppose you could run your Ana here, or maybe you could run your Ana at the back as well, though she could just get bulldozed down. That's why it's better to run her up there as well. And that would be like a general setup. You want to make crossfires, right? And then Birdring would be either holding on that high ground over there or up here as well. So that when the attacking team comes onto the point to try and kill your Orisa, who's going to be here, you get mad angles onto them. Like, you've just got angles from all directions, pounding damage into them. That's the general way that this comp works against other comps that rush across the floor. But instead, this comp flies in the air with Ding. And Youngjin sometimes flies in the air as well, fuck knows. So they're going to try and set up on the ground and just pressure with icicles, which obviously have no fall-off damage, and also with halts and with the damage from Birdring as well. But this doesn't really end up going too well for them, and they just end up getting pressured out fairly easily, as far as I can tell. That is a beautiful little play as well. The Shanghai Dragons today were so good at being able to combo halts into things. This is a halt where Gesture isn't worried about a halt hook combo coming out, so he doesn't use his Fortify ability, and instead he gets slept. So, honestly, Izuyaki's Ana has looked so much better than his Zen. His Zen was good at fragging, but his ability usage, particularly the Transcendence, because that's the most important one for Zen, was all over the place when he used to play with the LA Valiant. The Shanghai Dragons, I don't know whether their head coach is much better, or some other shit has been going on. Like if he's getting coaching off Luffy or something. But you're telling me that in an Ana meta, Luffy isn't playing when, mate, This is practically the same fucking comp that they won Stage 3 with. They had these two playing this roughly the same stuff. They had Gamsu playing Orisa, and then they had an Ana and a Mercy. But this was Luffy, and Luffy was playing sick when he was playing into the Stage 3 finals and the run up to the Stage 3 finals. And you're telling me that Izuyaki's coming in? That confused me at first, but then Izuyaki actually played a great series. So that's a lovely little set play. The wall gets forced out really early, so now they can't use it aggressively, just to make sure that when the Orisa shield goes down, Jester can't really be punished. And they start taking a bit of presence over the point as well, seeing if they can push through Hotel, get a little bit of space. You see Ding's essentially going uncontested in the air as well. There really isn't anything that they can do. They're attempting to get some damage on him from around here, but he's basically been playing around, blocking the sight line because you don't have direct line of sight from this arch to where he was holding just here. And the Mei has to hold the Hotel because otherwise you're just giving up too much space and your backline gets pressured in the archway. So Ding is playing the angles really nicely and just applying a huge amount of space. And this is another... I'm going to rewind for a second because this was a fantastic Bionade, if I remember correctly, that took down Fury. So you can see Fury goes for a bit of a flank because he's anticipating... I keep fucking swiping my mouse. He's anticipating the tanks to push across here. And he's going to come up top here, I believe, and he was going for a hook. So now, after that failed, he's going to rotate back down to the low ground and try and just get hooks over on this angle as well. Seeing if he can combo with the halts. That one doesn't quite hit. Izuyaki's honestly centimeters away from getting blasted by that. Another sleep comes out on Fury, and then also the Bionade, and they just take him down instantly. Just brutalized. And what you'll notice is that the Doomfist in a lot of these compositions, especially the way that London were running him early on in the series, is used for his CC. Like, they'll often set up things like when Fury was stunned over here, they'll have their Doomfist jump in and uppercut him just so that he stays in the air. And you're not really setting up the kill for the Doomfist itself. It's just that now that he's paralyzed in the air, everybody can kill him. It works particularly well when you're playing it alongside a Reaper, when you've got Doomfist Reaper. Because the slam, when you come in and slam, that's like some kind of soft CC. And when you come in and uppercut, that's a soft... Well, that's fairly hard CC, honestly. So, in fact, they're both hard CC. Neither of them are slows. That's the definition of hard CC. They get kind of stunned for a second, right? So that is how Doomfist is being used a lot in these comps, as well as being comboed with the halts for a lot of value. Now, once Fury goes down here, that's just point A. There's nothing you can do about that. Hi, Formation. Hello, Mr. Sid Show. I am loyal Twitch Prime subscriber to your video stream, in which you make big boomer bombs. Please make Q&A video for the YouTube soon, so I may finally know answer to query about your toes. Thank you, Formation. I will make Q&A video soon, but not tonight. A Chow, thank you for the 7 months as well. Now, once we got to the streets phase, this is where I thought they would have a lot more success in being able to shut down Ding on the Pharah. Just by being able to hold corners pretty close, and then getting value out of their Lucio by speed boosting around the corners to be able to mow down the tanks. Because once you push past the shields, you could get a lot of value out of the Mei and Doomfist combo, or a Reaper Doomfist combo, or whatever the hell you happen to use. But you should be able to isolate the Sigma or the Orisa and be able to push into them. But it all relies on being able to hold corners effectively. And they weren't really able to hold corners at all, the London Spitfire. You'll be able to see here that as they try and take space, Ding's already in the air, just kind of dominating them again. And Prophet gets slightly too far forwards and just gets rinsed. Just gets absolutely rinsed. Like, he just couldn't react in time and the damage was coming out from all directions. It just gets pounded. I don't think Prophet was used to playing Mei into the Sigma and the Orisa and the Pharah. That's a lot of spam damage coming at you at once. And so they just lose that hold immediately just because Prophet dies. Like, straight up. They just lost a neutral fight, so they didn't even force anything out of the Dragons. Like, yeah, the barrage gets used, but that's not really going to help you. Ding already does so much work even when he's just playing in the neutral. Console King with 7 months in a row as well. Thank you. Ranked is broken. Can you fix it real quick? I'm afraid not. I have no power. I have no power. And clearly the Fury on Diva pick is so that he can go and contest Ding, right? This is also their answer to the Ding pick. Because Sigma can place a barrier, but can't retract and place it quick enough for, like, Ding could just go around it. So you can't really get value with Sigma against Pharah. Which is, you know, Bren was talking on the desk about he didn't think that Sigma would really, that Pharah would get much value because there's an Orisa shield and then there's a Sigma shield. But on open maps where you can utilize the mobility and you have a high skybox, you can just shoot behind the Orisa shield. You can get around the Sigma barriers and it ends up being fairly effective. Ranked is bugged as hell at the moment, apparently, right? Oh, like, they disabled it. Choyobin got placed in gold. I thought that was hilarious. It would be kind of cool to have an MMR reset. Can you imagine how fun watching the pros just demolish gold players? And I would love to see all of the people who are currently stuck in what they believe is Elo hell get back to Elo hell again. Like, their first placements, they get put in gold, and then as they play more, they just keep losing and keep losing and keep losing, and then they're stuck back in silver where they actually were, you know, before the MMR reset, and they're like, it wasn't fair. The pros were in gold at the same time as I was. Even though they never played against literally a single pro, and they just actually are terrible at the game. That kind of level of Schadenfreude would just fuel me for, honestly, months, I think. The tears would fuel me for months. Okay, anyway. So this was also another thing that was happening all the way through the series, is that both Annas were holding on to their nano boosts. And Izayaki will normally use his nano boost aggressively onto Ding to be able to set him up for either extra defensive utility when he uses his barrage so that you can't kill him quick enough, or just the extra damage that it gives him. But Izayaki was using them reactively onto Ding to stop him getting bursted down by Fury. Now, nano boost gives you damage increase, but it also gives you a much bigger defensive increase. So if you give a Nano Boost to Ding as Nano Boosted Fury comes at him, not only does it cancel out the damage mitigation, as in they're both doing extra damage, but also the defensive advantage is just so much better for Ding. It heals him up to full, and he's able to tank whatever Fury throws at him. So unless Fury can use this to force out a Nano and then get onto Coma, Fury's essentially useless on the D.Va. This is a brilliantly smart adaptation from the Dragons, which is a lovely thing that happened mid-series with both teams playing the Ana. So you see that essentially the Nanos don't really get much done. Like, Ding didn't really do much, and Fury didn't do much, but they just cancel each other out. Because if Izayaki had already used his Nano in a previous fight, that's a dead Ding, for sure. Nano Boost with Fury kills Ding 10 times out of 10 there. Fury's that good. And he's got a Nano Boost, so of course he does. Both Doomfist there do the classic, I'm going to jump into your backlines to try and get a pick. Neither of them find anything. So they end up, disappearing at the same time. And Gesture loses the tank war because eventually you are going to lose the tank war unless you play aggressively. Unless you play aggressive with the Lucio and take advantage of the fact that you have a Mei, you're eventually going to lose this tank war because the D.Va just isn't as good at as the Sigma at being able to put out damage and tank stuff with your own shield. So Gesture lays down a shield, tries to go aggressive there to set up a bit of space for Birdring. Youngjin comes in, so they have to peel backwards a little bit, and with Gesture without his shield, he just gets destroyed. Also, I don't really know why they decided to step this aggressively to the corner. They could have survived much longer if they were close at this side. But either way, they were kind of destined to lose that when they couldn't get the pick on Ding, and Birdring hadn't found anything when he was fishing for a pick, and then Prophet didn't find anything. This Blizzard from Prophet as well is very questionable, especially because you can hold this corner with the Mei Doomfist comp really well. Like, this corner is fantastic for Spitfire's composition. And instead, he busts out the Blizzard here, which I thought was a big waste. Like, look at the state of the game when Prophet uses this Blizzard. His main tank has already fallen, Quartermain has already died, and then he uses the Blizzard. That's not a fight that you can win there. You know, you're 3 players alive, a Mei, a D.Va, and an Ana against 6. That's a total waste. Good night, another egghead. So, 3 minutes and 28 seconds on the clock. Huge advantage to the Shanghai Dragons. But like I said, this corner very good for a Reaper Doomfist, for a Mei Doomfist, for a Mei Reaper. This corner is where you would want to hold. So let's slow this down a little bit now that both teams are ready to engage again. The Doomfists are battling over the high ground. This is a very important position to be able to control. Supercharger goes down. Phenomenally important ability, and Ding barrages just so that they can't extend around the corner, just kind of waiting out the Supercharger in some sense. Huge amounts of shield break, so the Shanghai Dragons really can't extend too much, and they go for this halt punch combo. This halt punch combo is the new halt hook combo, right? So whenever you see the halt going out, you should see a Doomfist go in for it. Let me see, where was it? So here comes the barrage. Halt comes around the corner from Gesture, and Birdring seismic slams in, and then uppercuts. Oh no, he rocket punched in, but his rocket punch wasn't far enough. But he goes for a pick anyway. But that's the kind of combo that you want to be trying to set up. And how did Gesture die? I actually don't remember how Gesture died this time. So we've seen all this before. They use the Supercharger. He goes in. Gesture shield broken, replaced. Gesture extends to try and see if they can get a pick. Oh, and he gets punted off the side. Unluck. But not really unlucky because, again, overextending past this corner a little bit. But he's attempting to put Birdring in a position where he can get picks. But, yeah, that ain't gonna work. And the first pick is so important in, honestly, any meta, but this one holds as well. It's pretty similar. And the Shanghai Dragons are just tearing through. Again, Ding terrorizing on the Pharah, but more so than that, the way that Ding is just on Pharah forces London to play in a really weird way. And this is why I said that the biggest factor in the next game, the Guangzhou charge against the Seoul Dynasty was the fact that Fleta could play the McCree. Because Fleta being able to play the McCree stopped Nero from being able to play the Pharah and made all of the compositions different. Just by that one factor. Whereas if it had been Nero on the Pharah against Fleta on the Pharah, you would have seen a totally different game. So the sheer fact that Fleta was able to put up a great McCree early on in the series changed the whole tide of that and the way that both teams were adapting to each other. So I think this meta is actually a beautiful one. A lot of counterplay, some real interesting team comps that counter each other, dynamic, engaging play. It's really weird, actually. Because there's so many shields in the game, shield break stops being an effective strat. And instead, getting around behind the shields or through the shields ends up being more effective. Very counterintuitive. Very unexpected, actually, that we've ended up in this kind of place. I don't think many people were theory crafting this. I mean, Doomfist, sure, people were theory crafting Doomfist because he goes through shields. And he gets you those picks. But then, I mean, this is essentially just them wrapping up, I believe. This fight just ended up going their way. They're just dealing with spawners. Yeah. Just making sure in case I misremembered. This is actually a little bit annoying. The fact that this screen pops up and you can't tell where you are anymore as you zip around the map. Okay. 20 seconds later, as we prepare to go into the game.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So now the Shanghai Dragons running the same thing on defense. London Spitfire going to start, just scouting, seeing if they can get an early pick with the Widowmaker, getting the Sonic Arrow out as well, but they're not going to run the double sniper. Instead, Prophet's going to match on the Pharah. And this ended up being the strategy that won them the game in the end. The decision to match Prophet on the Pharah, despite the fact that he was losing the Pharah battle. And yeah, when I was saying before, Prophet went 20 and 21 against Ding on Pharah v Pharah throughout this match. But you watch how they played, and Ding is just manhandling him a lot of the time. Ding is constantly above him in terms of his verticality. What's the correct word there? The height. What is the correct word, chat, for the height? Hello, Blaze Does Gaming. Altitude. Altitude is the word that I was looking for. Elevation also works. Yep. Ding was constantly above him in terms of altitude, raining rockets onto him because Ding's movement is better and his management of his cooldowns is a little better as well. But also his aim was better. So Prophet would be firing from below and then also playing very defensively and backing off and ceding a lot of space to Ding. And Prophet's whole aim was just not to die, was just to tie up Ding and not die. And he did a very good job of that, you know, going 20 for 21, but he definitely was the weaker Pharah in this engagement by a fairly long shot. Now, the other thing to keep an eye on is how much impact Badoshin has in these fights. Can't quite remember whether they had the biggest impact on King's Row, but Badoshin helps out in this Pharah battle a fuck ton. Just a metric fuck ton. So, straight off we see Birdring engaged. Let's watch that again. So Birdring's going to go for an engage on the bottom where Prophet is firing right now. Meanwhile, Prophet manages to land a shot on Ding and kind of forces him back a little bit. So here you see when both of the Doomfists are playing in a match, what you're going to see a lot is the first Doomfist to engage uses their cooldowns so that the second Doomfist can come and peel and kill the enemy Doomfist. I think that's going to happen a fuck ton throughout these playoffs, assuming that Doomfist gets played a lot, and it seems to be a very good hero right now. So Birdring's used, I believe, his Rocket Punch and his Seismic Slam to be able to get into this position. So Youngjin comes up behind him and just punches him right in the butt. Just rams his fist straight up his butt. And they get that pick immediately. And so that means that they have to reset. But Spitfire have still got positioning around the map. But with the loss of Fury's mech, that's a poor factor for them. Now this... I'm going to ignore most of the analysis of what happens on this point A push because Spitfire struggle for a long time until the Farah battle goes their way. So I'm going to kind of ignore most of what happens on the ground and really focus on the Farah battle, because I think the Farah battle was insanely instrumental, and I think it will be any time that teams are mirroring these kind of compositions. Because sure, your Doomfist is going for plays on the ground and you're trying to win the tank war and this kind of stuff, but the tank battle isn't really ever going to be won by the London Spitfire. Their tanks, the Winston Diva, are just to try and get Birdring in a position to make a play, and they're also trying to zone the backline of the Dragons away so that they can win the Farah battle and start to take a bit of an engagement. But I've sped it up a little bit so that we can just watch the Farahs, because this 3 minutes is going to be 3 minutes of London just kind of getting bopped. And you can see how much pressure Prophet's under. He keeps getting shot in the head. Not that it makes any difference if you shoot rockets in the head. Fun fact, did you know that Farah rockets used to headshot in Overwatch? How wild is that? Can you imagine if they brought that back? I think it'd be kind of be dope. But also, there's just so much luck on whether you hit that. Look at how many directs Ding is hitting. I mean, he is dominating Prophet at the moment. One time, now that Prophet gets the advantage over him, Ding still hits a rocket from the low ground onto Prophet. Again, keep your eyes on this matchup. Youngjin's able to elude Gesture. They find that pick. The tank line, again, not really finding value. Nano Boost is used here onto Prophet to see if they can bully Ding away. You know, Badosin knows that he's got a really early Nano Boost from healing up the Winston, the Diva, that generally are going to take more damage because they're not sat behind shields. But Prophet isn't really able to get that much done because Gesture and Birdring are already dead. Gesture, Birdring already dead, so yeah, Ding dies, but that sleep is also huge. This sleep is enormous as well. Like, I'm not convinced that even if this sleep doesn't hit, I still don't think Spitfire take the point, but it is pretty enormous. So Prophet shoots Ding, and then Ding shoots Prophet. The splash damage kills Ding, but this is still like a 5v4 fight for the Dragons. And Izzyaki from the window hits a sleep. What the hell happened there? All of my lights suddenly went lower. I don't know what happened. Anyway, hits a sleep on Prophet, and he gets pushed out. Ding gets rezzed, and Prophet gets eliminated. Now, I'm not convinced that they would have won anyway if Prophet had survived, just because the Nano Boost was utilized when they were 2 down, and even when Prophet's going for the kill on Izzyaki, Koma can still probably get the res on Ding, but it may have that may have been a fight-winning sleep dart from Izzyaki, another one, as DJ Khaled so wisely said in the Overwatch League finals of 2018. So let's speed this up again. And we can see that the one time the Farah battle was won here, it looked like Spitfire had a bit of an opening, and that was mostly because Badosin had used the Nano Boost. So now that we're down into the final minute and a half, Prophet's only had one opening. When he had the Nano and Ding didn't, that was the only time when he's been winning this Farah battle. And because Ding has aerial superiority, there's nothing that he could really do. Again, pretty much ignoring what's going on the ground. Spitfire can't get much done until Prophet's won this Farah battle. Again, really nice direct from Ding. A great direct from Prophet, though. And this is what I'm saying about Badosin helping. Because look at this line up. This is the Ana shot. And Ding is now so weak. So one direct and a couple of shots from Badosin, and you're dead. I mean, one direct and one shot from Badosin, and you're dead if Koma isn't healing you, I believe. I think that math checks out. But Prophet hits a lovely direct from the low ground. Ding hits that shot. Badosin hits the shot. They can't quite finish him off. But Badosin is now really starting to get involved in this fight. With 60 seconds left, we see a little bit of a turnaround in the fire. Oh, fucking Christ. That is wild. I actually missed that when the game was going live. Holy shit. Let's look at this one from Envy's POV. Look at this rock slam. Yeah! Yeah! Yeet! that's so good. It's a halt into the rock combo that just pulverizes him. It's a beautiful halt from Gamsu. So yeah, there you go. I thought that was just a crazy rock from Envy, but it was actually a beautiful halt by Gamsu that sets up for a direct from Ding and a rock from Envy, and Prophet just gets mulched. But alright, this with 40 seconds left, and Dragons in a strong position to full hold, this is where the London Spitfire end up winning this this team fight. Badoshan, Fury dead, staggered for another 10 seconds, only 18 seconds on the clock by the time they spawn. They come out, and this is where the magic happens for Shanghai. A halt rock combo again there from the Dragons. This is another thing to keep an eye on, which is wonderful. I mean, halts on Pharahs were never a death sentence before, but a halt into a rock into a direct is just a total death sentence. And you can see Gamsu and Envy are very well practiced because presumably they scrim the Pharah v Pharah battles so much. So Prophet's a little lucky to get away with that one. Izayaki tags Prophet, and this time he gets the nano boost again. So both Pharahs now have the nano boost. So this is the same kind of situation where Izayaki is using it reactively. He's using it defensively. The other thing to note too is that Izayaki is currently getting pressured a lot. So Izayaki can't help in this Pharah duel, right? Apart from the fact that he got the nano on him. But Badoshan is in a position to help with this Pharah duel, or at least will be soon. And this was something that London did very well. Not necessarily in this fight, but just throughout the series, was that they would put a lot of pressure on Izayaki when Prophet was going for this Pharah v Pharah fight. And Badoshan would sit in safe places where he had the angle to be able to fight it. Now this is what wins, or what draws, rather, King's Row for London. These two rockets hit by Prophet. It's one of the only double rockets that's hit by either Pharah the entirety of this point A battle, and it's Prophet going aggressive when he needs to. You know, the 2 times where he's gone aggressive with the nano boost, he's actually hit his shots. So that tells me that Prophet is very skilled on the Pharah. He just wanted to play defensively, and in the neutral fight he was getting bullied, but when things get up close and when he feels like he has to hit his shots, he can hit them, because that is 2 great shots that set him up perfectly, and the fact that he has the barrage just crack this open completely. Now this map ends up being a draw because the Dragons completed with 2 minutes 46 on the clock. See a formation, but that's phenomenal stuff from the London Spitfire and from Prophet, and the way that the fight ended up working out. And this Pharah battle between Prophet and Ding was instrumental in how the series went, as was the Pharah battle between between Nero and between Jinmu yesterday, when Nero just dominated it. And I'm going to say it again, that is why Fleta playing the McCree as well as he did changed the entire tide of the match between Seoul and Guangzhou. Okay, so now they're going to play the Doomfist Reaper from the Spitfire, really focusing on the low ground. This is beautiful from Fury. This is what makes Fury one of the best divas in the world. I mean, just one little piece of what makes Diva one of the best in the world. Sulav1, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub as well. And Console King, too. Oh, no, I've already shouted out Console King. Well, Console King gets 2 shoutouts, so he is royalty after all. Okay, so Ding uses his rocket pack. Man, what the fuck are Pharah's boosters called? Jetpack? I don't know. When the hell do you ever shout out that ability? He uses his shift. Jump jets? Is that what they're called? Sure, jump jets. Ding uses his shift. And so Fury knows that Ding isn't in a position to really use much of his mobility. So as the rest of his team goes aggressive, Fury yeets his Diva Bomb over the top to the back here. And there's very little places for Ding and Coma to be able to hide from this, because it's going to explode around here. So it's going to get you if you hide down that alleyway, get you if you hide down that alleyway, and get you if you hide down that alleyway. And it kind of explodes so that you can't hide above the rooftops either. Snots101, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Brand new sub, thank you. Appreciate the support. So Fury comes over the top. Coma does a great job of being able to ride Envy to escape into this room, actually. But Birdring's uppercut catches Envy completely, and Izzyaki ends up dying as well. So this is a beautifully placed self-destruct. That's a nice set play, I think, from the London Spitfire, where they know that exact angle from Fury, where it lands around here, and everybody else on the London Spitfire knows what they have to do. Gesture's going to jump in to make sure that people can't escape. Birdring's going to jump in and uppercut people so that they get caught by the blast. This kind of shit. So really nice set play to take point B for the London Spitfire. Endless Fusions! Thank you for the tier 1 sub as well. Hope you're enjoying it. Dr. Ruben, I see that you keep asking me, do I think Spark have a chance of going far in playoffs? Anyone has a chance of going far in playoffs. Because it's a new meta. We don't know how good different teams are. I didn't think the Seoul Dynasty were going to be very good at all. They ended up being a pretty decent team. You know, Fleda performed well. Marvel was on the Sigma, which I wouldn't have expected coming into today. So, yes, Spark absolutely could. I think Spark are an excellent team once you give them a couple of weeks with a meta. So, yeah, they certainly could be a team that goes far in playoffs. Okay, this was something that the casters were questioning as well. Envy's use of the gravitic flux here in order to get a couple of kills because they weren't able to block the payload. Now, I have a slightly different take to the casters. I can't remember who was casting this match. Who did Dragon Spitfire? Can you remember? Was it Uber and Mr. X? Anyway, it doesn't matter who did the match. Was it Semler and Hex? No, I don't think it was. Oh, it was Achilles and Wolf. Okay, yeah. I think Semler and Hex did the other one, right? Yes, yeah, this one was Achilles and Wolf, because their casting in general was phenomenal throughout this series, actually. And I'm not saying that this was a wrong call. I'm just saying that I have a difference of opinion. Is that their take on it was that Envy using his gravitic flux here to get a couple of kills wasn't worthwhile because they weren't able to block the payload. You know, point B goes uncontested. My take on it instead is that this corner is absolutely imperative to being able to hold point C. If you can't hold this corner, you are probably not going to be able to hold point C for very much time at all. So I believe it was worthwhile for Envy to use his gravitic flux to halt the momentum of the London London Spitfire as they were rounding this corner. If Envy doesn't use it and instead they post up at this corner, by the time London are in position, you are likely to get less value from the flux. Even though there might be more people there, there's more healing going to be there. People don't have to be on the payload. The payload's going to be in the way, so it blocks line of sight for other people being able to follow up on the damage. This kind of stuff. So Envy saw an opportunity to get 2 kills and halt the momentum of of Spitfire as they were rounding this corner. And I think that was fairly crucial in being able to set up a defensive position for the Dragons at this corner and was instrumental in letting them tick this 2 minutes and 25 seconds off the clock for Spitfire's offense. You see here that the whole of Spitfire have to reset, they have to rethink their approach, they have to take the corner against all of the spam from Ding again, they have to expend cooldowns like the defense matrix just to get in position. So all of this is stuff that you have to take into account when thinking about how Envy was utilizing his ultimate. London prioritized taking control of this high ground. Like I said, really important high ground, especially if you're running Reaper and Doomfist. Reaper can actually contest anybody on this high ground. Like, okay, Farah in theory should be able to own high grounds. Like, if you think about it from like a plat point of view, like, okay, he's in the sky, but the skybox is there. Like, you're in the fucking range of Reaper, no matter where you are. So if you get a Reaper and a Doomfist on this high ground, really, really powerful. It doesn't matter if you've got, heroes that would normally be better in vertical scenarios. Badosin does a good job of being able to take down Ding, and they generally do a great job of being able to break this corner hold anyway. Now, just the fact that this corner hold was broken, though, so easily by the Spitfire, doesn't mean that Envy had like a bad play in trying to secure this corner. I still think this corner is incredibly powerful. I think the misplay was allowing London to set up on this high ground. I think Ding should have fought over this high ground. Youngjin should have fought over this high ground a little more. But the fact that the London Spitfire are running Winston and Diva lets them control this high ground a little bit easier because those tanks can contest up there as well. So it's not so much a misplay by the Dragons to hold that corner. Even though it might seem like it because London broke it so easily, it was just a nice play again by London to be able to break that corner hold, I think. But multiple ways of looking at it. You know, perhaps if Envy had had his ultimate, they would have been able to hold the corner. Or maybe not. Difficult to tell in hypothetical situations. Now, still a strong opportunity here that London complete with time in their time bank and go on to win the map. But we see them try and get aggressively into spawn. Ding takes his Ding takes a nano boost and makes space for the res on Youngjin. And it's Prophet that dies first here, really, in the fight. Because, okay, the fight is essentially resets. 6 each on both sides. Birdring and Fury and Gesture are still playing pretty aggressively. And Prophet utilizes his, what do you call it? Death Blossom and just gets punted. Absolutely punted. I don't think that was the right time to use the Death Blossom at all. I think the London Spitfire got overeager. Thought they could clutch it out. Saw themselves winning. They probably should have played a little more like around this kind of area instead of deep in here. Forced out the cooldowns like the Orisa Shield and like the Defense Matrix from Envy, and then forced them to come to the point instead. But they lost Prophet, and that means that you lose the majority of your damage. And yeah, Birdring could clutch, but it doesn't end up happening for them. You see as it plays out here that even though it's looking fantastic for London Spitfire, because they lost Prophet, they can't clear people away from the point more quickly than they spawn. And even with this sound barrier, they are struggling to burst people down. But Dosin dies as well. And they just trickle people onto the point over and over again. And then Birdring dying there is the nail in the coffin, because once your 2 DPS have died and Prophets come back on Tracer, now you have no killing power. I mean, you just have nothing. You can't do anything. So, anyway. And then we just saw a great hold, honestly, from... I'm going to just skip it forward because that was the last 30 seconds and they weren't able to get anything done. And then let's take a look at this hold as well.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Because this hold was pretty interesting. I saw someone as well, who was it? Parakeets, saying he wants more chat interaction. I'll answer a bunch of questions in between King's Row and the next map. But I like being in the flow when I'm reviewing a map. Otherwise, I lose my train of thought very easily. So I feel like I get more good information out if I just keep banging through stuff, and then I'll answer any questions that the chat wants afterwards. Because when I don't know about you guys, but when I watch VOD reviews of other people, I dislike that they get caught up in tiny things too much. Like like wild tangents tend to take away from the. And this isn't a call out for anybody else that does it. People get stuck in this all the time. But like the tangents and the explaining stuff and constant chat interaction takes away, I think, from the meat of the product, which for me is just breaking down a cool match and the stuff that happened in it. Big Chum Shot. Thank you for the 3 months of support. Could I watch Youngjin this push? I felt like he wasn't able to take a good position at all. Sure. I actually can't really remember how Spitfire were able to take this hold. So, sure. Let's have a look at Youngjin from his point of view. I would normally be watching the Pharah matchup here, but let's watch Youngjin, and then because it's only 2 minutes long, we might be able to go back and just watch it from a normal point of view. Now, this is all very classic. Like, you want to get set up on the stairway, you want to look to take a pick like across here towards the right hand side. See if you can get set up on the back windows, this kind of shit, and get into their back lines. But let's see what Youngjin's able to do. Obviously, I never watched the match from Youngjin's point of view. Some people in the chat might already know what Youngjin was able to do on this push because they've watched it using the All Access Pass, but I only get the free cam and the observer points of view. Yeah, this... Okay, so I want to go back. There was nothing wrong with what Youngjin did there. But what I want to look at, generally speaking, with this push, now that I've remembered what happened, is that, again, it came down to the fire battle, in my opinion. And this was a brand new development from the London Spitfire. This was another adaptation from them. They had started the previous one with Mei Hanzo, remember? So they had their Mei down here and they had their Hanzo up here, if I remember correctly, something like that. And they were just trying to spam the fire that was in the sky. And it didn't work out for them. Their backline got pressured all the way over there, and their tank line eventually got overrun. And Izayaki hit some great sleep darts, okay? That was how Dragons were able to take it the first time around. This time around, London have made an adaptation that carries over into Dorado, the next map as well. It's Birdring trying to play the McCree. Obviously, he's playing the McCree because it lets you get pressure on the Farah and it lets you get pressure on the Doomfist. In theory, it's a great counter, but it relies on you hitting your shots like a lot. You have to hit very consistent shots. You don't have to hit like wild shots. You don't have to be hitting like flick headshots all over the place, but you have to put constant damage on the Farah to deny them the space. Because if you're a McCree and you're posted up, where is he at the moment? And let's utilize his point of view anyway. Okay, so this is where he is. So you're the McCree. You're positioned over here. If the enemy Farah is positioned up here, and you are hitting your shots constantly, why did I do that in blue? If you're hitting your shots constantly, the enemy Farah is going to have to stay here. They can't get aggressive on you. If you start missing shots, then suddenly the enemy Farah is going to concussion above you, and the enemy Farah is going to be here. And now it's way harder to hit your shots. So if you don't keep putting effective pressure on the Farah from far away, the Farah is going to go aggressive, and suddenly that matchup becomes the Farah is like the counter to the McCree instead of the other way around. So you have to keep consistent pressure up, otherwise you're fucked. And the swing of who counters who can flop over the other way really quickly. But let's take a look at this Farah v Farah matchup, because that I think was really what set the tone of this. Remember, Ding was getting the better end of every single engagement unless Prophet had Nano Boost the previous time. Nice direct from Prophet. Very long range. Ding forced to hide for a while he gets healed up. Ding goes aggressive, and Izayaki is taken out. That's a pretty sick pick. With Izayaki dead, because Birdring, this is mental, by the way. And I actually thought, was it Birdring? Yeah, Birdring kept doing these risky flanks through Hotel, and Birdring nearly threw. I'll show you in a later push how Birdring nearly threw the entire fucking series, because he nearly lost King's Row for them. But anyway, he goes for this risky flank, hits a flashbang on Ding. I mean, what the fuck is he doing? That's ballsy as hell to the point of being dumb, in my opinion. But okay, he gets the pick. This next one, maybe it's not the next fight, but there's a fight another time where he flanks through Hotel and he just feeds. And luckily, Prophet's able to clutch up. I think it's Prophet anyway. Otherwise, they would have for sure lost. Was it the last fight, Axeman? Yeah. So, Badosin's taking, again, like, aggressive angle. Badosin was here, trying to put damage on Ding, so that if Prophet lands a long-range direct and a couple of shots from Badosin, they'll be able to take Ding down. But also, it's just putting damage on Ding so that he's forced to play a little more passive. And anytime you can get Ding to play passive, you're winning, because Ding is the win condition for the Dragons. Unless Youngjin just goes Super Saiyan. But that's not really something you can rely on. So Birdring, again, taking semi-aggressive angles. You know, this isn't really an aggressive angle. It's not like fucking coming through hotel and trying to get a flashbang. Why the switch to Winston D.Va? It's the same thing that Spitfire were doing on their attack. The idea of the Winston D.Va is to put pressure... so these two jump these two and stop them killing Ding. And then Ding comes over the top and... poo-poos on everybody. That's my owl level analysis. But yeah, it is just... You're aiming to put pressure on the people that would pressure Ding. And the Winston D.Va is much better at being able to dynamically pressure these kind of people. Okay, so look at this as well. I think this is marginally interesting. You know, it's a slight side tangent, but we were saying how good Gamsu and Envy were at these halt rock combos, halt accretion combos. I'm just gonna call them halt rock because fuck saying accretion over and over. So there's a halt there from Fury, and Prophet goes to try and land a direct in the middle of it. But Ding realizes what's going to happen and concussion blasts away from it just in time and misses and this dodges this direct rocket. So heads up awareness from Ding. Now, if we scroll forwards a little bit to the next time that halt is available. Okay, here comes another halt, but the rock is too early, like way too early from gesture. You still have quite a bit of time when the halt hits to throw the rock, even from such a distance. But it has to be a little bit predictive, I think, from that distance. I'm actually not 100% sure. Like, maybe it has to be predictive. Remember, Envy was stood here when he was yeeting rocks before. Gesture's actually quite a bit further away. So it's possible that you have to land this one. You probably have to throw the rock before the halt hits, if he's that far away. So a bit more of a unpredictable play, but the halt and the rock are not as well coordinated, but it does end up with a direct hit from Prophet onto Ding. And again, actually, Badosin lands a little bit of damage onto Ding there as well, where he's holding from the high ground. Oh no, I think that was Birdring actually that landed the damage onto Ding that time. Valk is popped, and Youngjin ends up dying in this one. So this might be a good time to go and take a look at Youngjin. But alright, Youngjin's back in the fight. Winston D.Va are in position for the Dragons. 40 seconds on the clock. This is where the London Spitfire were able to clutch last time by winning the nano-boosted fire engagement. Envy, though, gets demec'd, and this is the feed from Birdring. Birdring again tries to flank through Hotel. Like, motherfucker, why are you doing this twice? I don't know. And he just mega feeds. Mega feeds. And at this point, I'm like, oh, it's over. It's donezo. It's gone. The London Spitfire are out. They're going home. It's over. Halt accretion combo again onto Coma. And Prophet manages to pick up a 2K with his barrage. And then this sleep. So this is a weird one because Coma being disconnected from Ding, I think, makes Ding play a little more passive. And with Coma stunned and on the floor, I think Prophet's kind of banking on the fact that Ding isn't going to go aggressive because he doesn't have the heals. So that's going to allow Prophet to go aggressive. And he needs to clutch, right? Because they've already lost two, because Birdring fed and Fury ends up dying as well. So he goes for this barrage, which is much better against the Winston D.Va because they don't have a shield that really has that much health. And Ding, because he's been playing a bit more passive because Coma got rocked, isn't really in his face in time. and the nano boost has already been used on somebody else. So even though he comes in over the top and gets that barrage, there's a double shield in his face, although that shield misses a little bit by gesture, and he gets slept. Really nice sleep from Badoshin. And they end up winning this fight. But so it's not the cleanest in the world by any stretch of the imagination. Let's actually go back and take a look at Youngjin when he died first there, because there might be something to what this guy was saying in my chat. Because Youngjin really wasn't able to get much done. But then, you know, the way that the composition is working isn't really designed to for Youngjin to pop off until Ding is ready. Ding has to be the distraction before Youngjin can really get too much done. So coming around the back, he's looking to set up with his tanks. Oh, Birdring just fucking too smart. Too smart. He was so ready for that. So ready for that. Then in the next engagement, he gets back into the fight really quickly. This is where Birdring feeds. That's the thing as well, right? When people rate players, it might be easy to say, because Birdring was a genius and flashbanged here to stop that play happening, he won a fight for them. Okay, it was like a 10-second fight, right? Because all they were waiting for was Youngjin to get back into it. But then he feeds and nearly loses them a fight. The two are not equal. Even though one wins you a fight and one loses you a fight, if you're playing on defense, it's way worse to lose a fight by actively doing something. Like, if you actively put yourself in a risky position and die, that is way worse than making a sick play to clutch your team out of a situation. So, I think people add up, like, good and bad pretty evenly as like, pros and cons a lot when they're thinking about Overwatch. But playing safe is often a lot better than being clutch. And this is why, like, you know when that shit about Surefall blew up? Where he saw my analysis on the desk and he was like, I'm not a safe passive player. Yada yada. I don't even know what the hell the rest he said, but he got bothered by it. Anyway, I can't exactly remember the specifics. But I wasn't ripping on him. I was saying that I liked the way that he played safe and passive. I was just describing his style. Because he does tend to take less risks than other Hanzo players like Godsby, for example, or... Fuck, who else does a lot of flanking? Even Prophet. But, you know, like some really aggressive guys. And I actually quite like that. Because he doesn't ever feed. Like, you will very, very rarely see Surefall feed. He does sometimes, you know, every player does sometimes. But he tends not to a lot. He doesn't put himself in harm's way. He wasn't bothered by the passive part. It was the decay is their carry. I think he was bothered by the passive part. Like, his tweet was something like, I don't know, he had a tweet after the fact where it was something like, pity I'm so passive, or something like that. And then he was getting bothered in the in-game comms as well. Which, I don't know whether he knows that I can hear them, but he was getting bothered. Anyway, I didn't engage with it because it's fucking childish to engage with that kind of stuff. But anyway, the point is that I wasn't using it in a negative manner. I actually think that playing safe can often be the best thing. Oh, he went on he went on a vast stream and explained he doesn't like how Decay's painted as their carry. Sure. I mean, I think that he's probably wrong in that sense. Like, you normally give the resources to the person that's supposed to carry. I don't know. Is he wrong? I mean, Surefall does a lot of the heavy lifting as well, but I feel like there's a lot of responsibility on Decay to make plays. Which is normally what you think of as being like the star player of the team, or the carry player, is normally the person that has a lot of responsibility to come up with the goods. Now, I saw a lot of people... Let's actually focus on the game again, because I don't want to revive this whole discussion. You know, Surefall has his opinions. He's totally entitled to them. That's why I didn't make a fucking fuss of it, because I'm allowed to have an opinion on his play, and he's allowed to have an opinion on what I say. That's totally fine. That's how mature adults should interact. But this play here, so this ends with a C9 from the Dragons. And I saw a lot of people online saying that if Dragons hadn't C9'd on King's Row, that they would have won the series. So let's actually see whether there's merit to that argument. Because at the end here, where... So, there's 4 players on the point for each team. But Ding is asleep. And the backline and tank line is fairly intact for the London Spitfire. Then Ding dies, Gamsu is rezzed, Quatermain manages to res Prophet as well. So, let's take a look. Birdring's weak, gets healed up, Orissa's about to come back into the scenario, and we have, roughly speaking, another 6v6 fight here, where the tank line for the Dragons is going pretty aggressive, trying to put a lot of pressure on Birdring, who has used his Deadeye against the Primal Raging Winston that honestly might just burst him down before he manages to pop it off. But alright, that's going to force Gamsu to play a little more passive, because in all likelihood, Birdring's now going to get a double pocket from Quatermain and also from Badosin, and Gamsu would end up dying. But Gamsu doesn't want to die. He wants to play it safe. He doesn't want to go for the kill. He's going to end up backing off. Pops the Primal, pieces it out of there. Gesture takes quite a bit of damage, and Prophet is really weak. Quatermain dies, but so does Gamsu. Now, in this scenario... Oh my god, screen fades to black. Fuck off. I've got to try and pause it so that there's 1 second left on the clock. Here we go. Very tense. Final moments. Who knows how it's going to go. Sick play from Izayaki, by the way, to sleep Quatermain. Alright, let me see if I can pause it when there's like 0 point something seconds left on the point. Tick, 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 tick. It ended at 0.2! I've been robbed! I've been fucking robbed! Why does it go dark at 0.2? For fuck's sake. Ah, so many quirks. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... Now, for starters, I mean, obviously Shanghai should trigger this overtime. It's kind of shocking that they don't trigger the overtime. I'm only going to go to... I'm going to go to 0.3. I'm going to play on the edge. I dance on the edge, baby. That's what I do. Now, with Gamsu down, assuming that Gamsu had hit the point within the last 3 seconds and actually triggered the overtime, then what's the state of the game here? It's my opinion that with the tank line still alive... Wait, where's Gesture? Gesture was still alive, right? Yeah, Gesture's still alive. With the tank line still alive from the London Spitfire, I think they end up winning this fight. And I think they do so relatively quickly, because I think Envy's going to get demeched fairly shortly from Birdring and Prophet. And unless Ding pops off, which he certainly could. I mean, everybody's clumped in the corner. They likely are able to establish a position on this point. I don't think that this is going to work out super great for them, especially because Youngjin's nowhere near. But, I mean, if they get the overtime and Youngjin manages to come around as well before everybody dies, it's certainly possible. Now that I look at it, it does seem more winnable for Dragons than I originally thought. I actually thought that both of the tanks were essentially dead. But Envy might even escape to that high ground. If they had touched the point and Envy does escape, and they can just... But then what body do you keep on the point? That's the thing. Like, Envy would need to come down and touch immediately, because otherwise they're screwed. That's the thing. That's the reason why I put so much weight in Fury and Gesture being alive, is because who the fuck's going to touch the point to keep this in overtime for the Dragons? I mean, literally the answer was nobody. But if they had triggered overtime, it would have to be Envy. He's already used his boosters. And even if he was there, he would just get demeched and killed immediately. Like, Ding isn't going to touch. He'd just get destroyed. Izayaki isn't. So, in my opinion, this goes to Spitfire most times. Coma could float down, sure, but then he's going to get destroyed, and then Ding follows shortly afterwards. I just don't see it. Because they have to keep this going for a full 10 seconds for Gamsu to get back, because he's their tank that would normally ping-pong off the point. I just don't see a world in which Envy stays in his mech, or they don't bleed somebody immediately on the point. Okay, so yeah, Pixelated says they're about to pincer the backline. Yeah, in like 5 seconds. Youngjin's still... Even if you're generous, that's at least 3 seconds away from them pincering the backline. In 3 seconds, someone's got to be on the point the whole time over those 3 seconds. In which case, they probably die. Because who the fuck's going to step on the point? Like Coma? Coma's going to die. And then the pincer is much less effective because Ding doesn't have the healing. Or Envy's going to get demeched if he touches the point in the next 3 seconds. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that I don't think this is cut and dry. If Dragons had touched the point, they would have won. In fact, I don't think that this is favored for the Dragons. But who knows? You know, they got the spawn advantage, so maybe they could have turned it. I will say, though, that Shanghai C9'd like 2, maybe 3 times over the course of this series. And it was clear that it is not something they think about when it gets to the crunch time. It's like it's genuinely, this seems like a bit of a meme, but it's a huge hole in the Shanghai Dragons game. Because it's clear that Envy is not even, his brain is not even thinking about the point. That's the face of a man who has no intention of getting on the point. I'm trying to get his eyeballs. Those eyeballs... Oh my god. This is way harder than I thought it would be. I've totally ruined this bit. How is this so hard? See, now I'm just doing it for the sheer hell of it. Hello, there we go. Those eyeballs, they never even seen an overtime. They have never even seen the point. The point, the objective, what is it? Never seen it. Never seen it, don't know what it is.
Get off the cart for a split second here, and Immortal's gonna impede their progress as now Verbo earns himself the sound barrier. Maybe he...
These eyeballs, they never seen a payload. They never seen an objective. They have never seen an objective. This is what we call the what the hell? The yeet. Like, actually, bye. Bye, bitch. Bye. The amount of times that Envy has been involved, by the way, in C9s is absolutely incredible. Like, this is historic at this point. This guy has no intention of touching the point. Like, sure, he thinks that Gamsu has already triggered overtime. But he's already used his boosters to get up here. Like, how the fuck is he expecting to go back and touch the point to keep overtime ticking? I have no idea. I don't know what his game plan is. But who knows? Anyway, they lose. Spoiler, they lose.